Welcome to the Automotive Diagnostic Podcast. We're going to explore ways to sharpen our diagnostic skills, find learning resources, and hear from experts in the automotive field. I am happy to have Automotive Seminars as a sponsor for the show. Now, if you're not familiar, Automotive Seminars is a diagnostic technician training company. They've got a website that there'll be a link to in the show notes. And what they offer is top-notch training to technicians like us in the field. I've been taking their training courses for years and have got a ton of benefit out of it. They got top-notch instructors, John Thornton, Scott Shotton, Scott Manna, and every other month they've got a 2-night course that you can sign up for. Join in, ask questions, and afterwards, you've paid for the course, you can access a recorded version whenever you want. You can rewatch the class 2 years later in case you wanted some details on it. And that is a fantastic feature. So make sure to check out the website to see what courses they have available and what's coming up in the future. Hey, what's going on, automotive world? Welcome to another episode of the Automotive Diagnostic Podcast. My name is Sean Tipping. I'll be your host once again for this week's episode. Thank you so much for joining me. On the show this week, I'm going to talk about a 2017 Subaru Legacy that we had some module replacement programming issues. And what it ended up being was one of the modules on the car was incorrect for that vehicle. It had been replaced with a used unit, and the problem it caused made it look like another control module was at fault. And we run into this from time to time. I'm sure you've seen it on vehicles too. I mean, sometimes the wrong control module stands out. Very obvious that control module is wrong. It has codes, it doesn't function. Other modules have codes saying it's bad. And then it's fairly obvious it's just a matter of, can we correct the software in that module, or is it the wrong physical part? Is the hardware incorrect, right? And that's a whole nother thing. And of course we run into that all the time. But sometimes we get a situation where there are codes in a particular module, and it makes it seem like that module has an issue, has a problem, or might even just be, hey, this module's wrong for the car, like it was in this situation. But really, it is because of a second module on the vehicle that most likely has been replaced. That was the situation here. But the module that had actually been replaced with the wrong part didn't have any codes and wasn't showing any signs that it was incorrect. And the reason that this happens, not only in this particular Subaru, but other vehicles, is modules are going to share data. They're going to share information. And how that works exactly on each individual car, on each individual system and network, and pieces of information within the network, of course, that's different across all of those. And so you're going to have different modules, different networks, different scenarios based on what you are dealing with. So you can't necessarily take this one example and just apply it to everything across the board. I mean, if you could, I probably would have spotted this one quicker than I did, but that's why I'm talking about it on the show. This can be a difficult situation to recognize right off the bat that, hey, this module's coding. It's coding saying that it's wrong for the vehicle or it doesn't agree with the vehicle. But really, it is because of the data that is being shared with or pulled or sent to from another module. They're sharing information, and just because of the strategies and the codes and how those particular modules were set up from the factory from Subaru, one module codes, the other one doesn't. Okay, so you kind of know where we're going with this. I won't spoil the actual module that was failed, although I bet you if you do enough Subaru work, you can probably guess. But I'll share some interesting specific details about this Subaru and how you would be able to pick this out if you got into this situation. Because I can guarantee you both of these modules are likely to be replaced for one reason or another. So anyways, again, to recap, 2017 Subaru Legacy, and it came to us as a diagnostic, and there was a code in the Eyesight module. Okay, so this is the dual camera or the stereo camera up at the top of the windshield. I've talked about the Eyesight systems plenty of times on the show. They are the absolute worst to calibrate for the target board, and the ADAS systems have absolutely just kicked my ass. If you go way back a few years ago, I had an episode about a Subaru Crosstrek where the roof line, or the angle that the roof line was sitting at was off by a few degrees, and it caused the camera to be off by a few degrees, and so it could never get calibrated until that was repaired. Anyways, even with a vehicle that's sitting correctly, I have trouble with the Eyesight calibrations. I mean, sometimes they go through, get 98%, 99%, and it's like, well, what am I doing differently? I measured the same way, I'm using the same target. Anyways, they're frustrating in their own right, but this is different. This is not a calibration issue. The code that I've got in the Eyesight module is a B28A0, okay? And what this is standing for is, I'm going to read off what it actually says, vehicle model judgment. Okay, so it's saying that the model of the vehicle does not agree with what is programmed into the Eyesight module. Okay, now of course we got a bunch of lights on the dash, and this is a hard code. It resets every time you clear it, and that's the one that is persistent. Now, there was also a code in the reverse automatic braking module that just basically says there's a problem in the Eyesight system. And there's also a code in the power steering control module that says there's a problem in the Eyesight system. And that's it. And of course, this code that I'm focusing on, the B28A0, that's the one I'm like, okay, I have to figure this out. Now, if you read this code, it's pretty straightforward on what you need to do or what you need to look at or why it would be there. So really all it's saying is that the applied model code that has been programmed into the Eyesight module, the camera, is not correct for the actual vehicle's applied model code. So this applied model code gets shared with other control modules on the bus. And if they don't agree, okay, we get a code, that's a problem. I don't belong here, or I don't agree with the other modules that are sharing the applied model code. So what is the applied model code? If you're not familiar with Subarus, you can find this on modern Subarus. On the right side B pillar, there's a black sticker with white writing. You have the option code and then the applied model code. And it's going to be just specific details about that car. It's not quite like a VIN number, but it's going to be, the year, the model, the platform. Does it have Eyesight or not? Things like that. And you can find this on any Subaru. And if you've programmed some modules or set up some modules on Subarus, you may have had to get this number and actually enter them into the control module when they're replaced. The camera being one of those modules. Now, I've replaced a number, or I've come into program after replacement, a number of cameras in these Subarus with the Eyesight system. And I've done new, and I've also done used modules. And what I found with them is that some of them, even used, you can change that applied model code. It's like a 5-digit alphanumeric code. And you actually do this through a special function in the scan tool. If you go into the Eyesight module, it says confirm parameter or write parameter. And so you can see what the applied model code is, or you can write the applied model code. Although reading what the applied model code is, it's not always as straightforward as it sounds. It doesn't just put it out in plain text, at least not on this one, and not some of the other ones I've dealt with, but you can write it. Now, I've been able to change that on some, not all of them. So I know I did a 19, it might have actually been that cross-check that I was talking about. And I was able to change the applied model code because I had the wrong one. And I went in and it allowed me to change it. And then that code was gone. And then I needed to do the calibration portion of it. But on this particular 17 Legacy, and I tried both with aftermarket tooling, tried the top down, tried the Autel, and I even tried the Subaru program, which is SSM4. And they were identical from one to another. There was no difference in the tooling and no difference in the result. So when I went into the special functions, it has the write parameter or confirm parameter. Okay, and the parameter would be the applied model code. And when you click on them, it just says fail. Now that's in the aftermarket tooling. And when I went to the Subaru tooling, it doesn't even have those as an option, or at least it didn't for me. In the tool that I was using, I didn't even have an option to write that in the camera. Okay, so it doesn't look like I'm going to be able to change it. And so what I told the shop was, because it's a used car lot, they get these cars from auction or elsewhere, and for them to have the wrong part on the vehicle is totally likely. And I told them, I was like, hey, here's what you got. This camera is saying it doesn't agree with the applied model code of the car. I tried all my tools. I don't have an option to change it. So you're just going to have to get a camera that you know is out of the same car. Here's what you use is this sticker on the right side B pillar. It's applied model code. Match that up to the car you're getting it out of. And of course the part number, but this applied model code actually really does matter. Explain that and said, call us when you get a new one in there. We'll probably just have to do an Eyesight calibration and be done with it. Okay. So they get another camera, which is a used one as well. Again, it's a used car lot, so they're always trying to save some money. They get another used one with the junkyard that tells them it's out of the same car. They matched all the options. On this first one, I don't know if they actually got a clear.
Hey, have you ever been faced with the challenge of sourcing, installing, and programming a used control module in a vehicle? I know a lot of us have. It seems to be happening more and more often today with the volume of control modules on vehicles, the cost of some new ones, or even the availability of new control modules. In some cases, used may be the only option. So what do you do here? I strongly recommend checking out SJ Auto Solutions and Tommy Oliva. Tommy offers a cloning service for used control modules to make these things plug and play for the vehicle that you're working on. In a lot of cases, he is also able to source the control modules if you're unable to locate one for the vehicle that you're working on. But once you get connected with Tommy, he's going to offer fantastic support from start to finish to make sure that that control module is going to work in your application. He's also got tech support that he offers through his website, along with some free resources there as well on information about used control module programming. So make sure to check out SJ Auto Solutions. I can't recommend that enough.
For sure, this applied model code is correct, but they said they had one out of the same car. So they put it in there. They said same thing, same code. And I was like, are you sure? Did they send you a picture of the tag of the car they pulled it out of? Because that's my concern. It's like they're getting it close, but not close enough. And so it's setting these vehicle model judgment error codes. And they're like, well, we'll figure it out. And so they find another place that actually takes a picture of the tag on that applied model code, sends them the camera out of that car. It matches up exactly, and we still get the same code. And so I said, okay, well, I apologize, send you on a wild goose chase here, but let me look into this a little bit more and see what else am I missing here. So dig into this one. And what I try to find out is who else does this camera compare the applied model code to? Well, first thing I did was a little bit of research on the code just to make sure like I'm not missing anything. There's not like a dual meaning or different reason this can set, or maybe some power ground or calibration, like maybe it just needs to be calibrated. It was none of that. It just came back to the same thing, that it just says the applied model code that's programmed into the camera compares to what's being shared on the CAN bus. And if they're different, it sets this code. It's that simple. Now, what I tried doing was going through everything in the camera so that I could find the applied model code, like in plain text. I was not able to do that. Now, there's a gazillion data PIDs in the Eyesight modules, and maybe it's in there somewhere. I wasn't able to find it. And again, I wasn't able to read it through the special functions. Now, the part number on it matches. They showed me the tag the car came out of with the correct applied model code. So, 3 cameras, same code. It seems very doubtful that they're all incorrect for the vehicle. It could totally be possible, but with this last one, especially proof of what it came out of, I'm like, I need to start looking elsewhere. Now, again, I couldn't find exactly what model code was in the camera, but I can look and see who else shares this applied model code on the rest of the vehicle. Now, I already know from working on Subarus, getting called into program Subarus, that the ABS control module also shares the applied model code. And the reason I know that is because I've done programming on both new and used ABS modules or VDC modules on these Subarus. And you have to write the applied model code. And if that is wrong in the past, when I've seen that, used ones put in, you get a code saying, hey, there's an issue with the vehicle model judgment or whatever the code is for ABS, or at least that's what I remember. But if you get a new module, you can write that applied model code, and it is a one-time deal, meaning that whatever number you put in, that's what it's going to keep, and it's not going to change, so you better get it right. So if you're doing a new ABS module, make sure that you do it correctly. Now, it is just a scan tool feature. It's not like an actual programming. You just type it in on your scan tool, and that's it. And it hopefully will match the car. But with the used ones, and shops have tried many a used ABS module on these things, I can tell you I think I've had only one time out of, 50 that the shop's actually gotten the ABS module right. It seems like every single time we get called for a used ABS module on one of these Subarus, it ends up being the wrong module. And I have not found a way to change it on a used ABS module on one of these Subarus. Now, if somebody else out there has a way to do it, please let me know. And I've been doing pretty well on the request for help here on the show. I think the last 2 or 3 episodes, or more than that, people have reached out to me that are in the know for that one specific brand or application or problem, and been like, oh yeah, you just do this, or oh, here's the way to get this done, which is really cool. So I bet you somebody else out there knows how to do this. I have not found a way to do it. Again, I've tried with Subaru tooling. I've tried with aftermarket tooling. Once it seems to have that applied model code in the ABS, you don't seem to be able to change it. Now, again, new, just write it with any old aftermarket tool, and it's not a problem. Now, because I know this, that the ABS module has this, it's the first thing I'm thinking of looking at. Now, is that the only thing that shares that, applied model code on the bus? I'm not sure at this point. But I'm going to start there, and I'm going to start looking at the ABS. So I go into my scan tool, and I wanted to try to read what number is in there. And I didn't seem to be able to do that either. This had the confirm parameter and write parameter as well within the special functions, but it wouldn't give me in plain text what model code it actually had. Of course, I want to see if it matches what's on the sticker. But I did find out this. If you type in the applied model code, when you go to write the applied model code in the special functions of the tool, because I was just going to try to write the number that was already in there. So let's say you have the applied model code off of the vehicle. It's 5 digits, whatever they are. And then you go to the ABS and you punch it in. You try to write that into the module. If the module already has a number and it's different, it will fail. Okay. But if you type in the correct number
right? The number that is actually programmed into that ABS control module, and of course matches the car, it'll give you a thumbs up like, yep, you did it, because it's already the same. You didn't change anything. You just got it right. And for me, at least right now, that's my way to confirm if the number is correct in the ABS module. Now, how did I know this? Because I just happened to have another Subaru Crosstrek that was sitting outside, and I was comparing the two. I'm like, okay, when I type in the vehicle's applied model code to this ABS module, it airs out. Let me go try on this one outside. It was only like a year or two different. Got the number off of the applied model code, went into the scan tool, tried to write. It gave me a thumbs up. I figured, I was like, I'm just going to try to change it. I don't think it's going to work. I don't think I'm going to screw anything up. It gave me a thumbs down. Error, can't do this. I think it actually tells you that the model code differs when you try to type in the wrong one. Okay, so back to my 17, I'm trying to type in the number that is on the sticker, which belongs to the car, into the ABS module that is on the car, and it's giving me an error. Okay, so how else could I prove? Now, because I'm leading towards the ABS, and that the ABS has been replaced, and it has a different model code than what the rest of the car is, particularly the camera. Now, why it doesn't have any trouble code set, I don't know. But can I prove this out another way? And I was like, well, what if I unplug the ABS module? Will that get rid of the code in the Eyesight module for the model judgment error, right? If the ABS module is the wrong one, it's got the wrong code, and that's what's triggering the Eyesight module to say, hey, this is the wrong vehicle. If I take the ABS module out of the picture, that should get rid of that mismatch code, you would think, or at least that's something I want to try. And it turns out it worked. Now, you do get an ABS communication code. That's in place of the mismatch code, but the vehicle model judgment error is now gone. And all of that together was enough for me to say this ABS module must have been replaced at some point. Now, hard to say just by looking at it. It's been in the vehicle for a little while. I don't know how long, but that to me is pointing that this ABS module has the wrong model code in it. Okay. And for whatever reason, the camera is the thing that is coding, not the ABS. So I said, hey, call up that junkyard where you got the camera from if you want to go use. Get the same ABS module, or the ABS module out of the same car. Okay, you want to buy a new one, we'll code it for you. I knew these guys didn't want to do that. So they got that, they put it in, all good to go. They put the original camera back in. And all three of them would have worked as far as the model judgment went, but it was the ABS module that had the wrong number in it. And using the attempt to write with the scan tool was the effective way for me to verify if the model code in the ABS matched the car. Now, again, maybe a Subaru guy out there will tell me, oh, just look here and you can, find what that number is. I didn't see it. I didn't see it in the module information. I didn't see it in the data stream. But maybe there's a way. I'm sure there is. Same thing for the Eyesight. I couldn't find it in plain text, but unplugging the ABS got rid of the mismatch code, meaning that, well, it's happy. If there's other modules on the car that are sharing that code, it's happy with them. And if the ABS is the only thing, okay, well, now there's no more mismatch anymore because it's not being sent the wrong model code. It's being sent none. There's an argument that could be made that the communication code supersedes other codes from setting, and that test maybe is not 100% effective, but in hindsight, I do know that it fixed the car, so I might use it in the future. The last thing, and I've considered this, is that could you change the applied model code in the ABS module if you went board level? And there's a number of different reasons I've never gone this way on one of these. Number one, if you've ever tried to get the plastic casing off of ABS control modules, like any of them, it becomes very difficult without breaking anything. And then even if I did, I found the EEPROM, I managed to change it. Then there's the question of, is the hardware even right for the vehicle, right? I don't know, I don't have a reference for all of what wrong ABS module will work in what other Subaru. That's just not a reference that I have or care to build.
So when it's wrong, I just say, hey, this is the wrong module. You have to get the right one. So I just don't feel as though trying to change that one particular thing at a board level is worth the effort when there's a very good chance it's just the wrong module anyways. What I don't know is that number that you put in with a new module, like how much wiggle room do you have, or how many option codes could you program into one particular module? Of course, you have a hardware, specification for that vehicle, but how many cars does that hardware model apply to? I don't know, and I don't know that I'll really take the time to find out. But it's a question that shops ask. It's like, can you change this? Can you make this work? Because they bought the module, they went through the trouble of installing it probably already, bleeding the brakes, getting it ready to program. They don't want to do it again. They don't want to buy a new one. The new ones are relatively expensive. It's all perspective, but we do see a lot of used ones get thrown in these. So that was a fix. Used ABS module, been put in this thing at some point with the wrong model code. Got it out of the correct vehicle. It worked. And the way that you could pick this out is by trying to program the car's model code into the ABS and see if it gives you a thumbs up or thumbs down. That was what worked for me on this one. So that's where I'm going to wrap this episode up. Hopefully you found that was interesting. Maybe you have a little bit of something to add to that, or maybe you have another example of where one module that has been replaced on a car causes another one to code, and it's not so obvious that the first one is the odd man out. So I'd like to thank everybody for listening to the show. I always appreciate it. But in the meantime, let's get out there, start fixing the world one car at a time.